Before I open the hearing for the Barnstable Conservation Commission, I would like to ask Angela to do a roll call for the quorum purpose.
Foster.
Present.
Hearn.
Present.
Lee.
Present?
Tangney present. Sampu.
Not yet, I guess.
Not yet.
All right. Administrator Darcy Carley.
Present.
Staff member Kim Kavanaugh.
Present.
And Agent Ed Hoops.
Present.
All
right. Well, we have 4, so we have a quorum.
Barely.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Acting the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, or the Chapter 237 of the Code of Town of Barnstable, the Barnstable Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, December the 17th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. for the applications of Highness Pacific Associations, Randall Green. The hearing is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government's Access Channel. The plans and application are on file and may be reviewed by scheduling appointments by sending email requests to Darcy Curley at 230 South Street, Hyannis. In accordance with the Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20, please let the chair know if anyone is recording this meeting. Hearing none. This evening's hearing agenda is posted on the town's website. On the agenda next to each application is the amount owed to the Town of Barnstable for the cost of advertisements. Please send your checks to the Conservation Division at 230 South Street before the hearing. Remote participation. The Conservation Commission's public hearing will be held by remote participation as a result of an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed by the governor on March 29, 2023, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Remote public access to this hearing shall be provided in the following manner. 1. The hearing will be televised by Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via Town of Barnstable's Government's Access Channel. 2. The real-time public comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing the Zoom link 880-2491-9478 or use the toll-free phone number 888-479-4499 as shown on the agenda. Third, the public can also email the comment to darcy.curley@town.barnstable.ma.us at least 8 hours prior to the hearing. This is our last hearing in 2024. Time flies. We have run RDA tonight. Highness Pacific Associations to relocate existing floats on the north side of the pier within the state Chapter 91 license approved the reconfiguration zone into deeper water and relocate existing tide and line piles on the south sides of the piers at 175 Irving Avenue, Hyannisport, as shown on the Census Map 287, Parcel 135. John?
Good evening, John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering Consulting, representing the Hyannisport Civic Association. Also here in the meeting this evening is Charlie Floyd, who is part of that association. I will bring up the plan for you all that was submitted with this application. This is the site of the Hyannisport Pier. It is a pier that has existed since the 1800s. In the 1990s, the kind of outer wing of this pier was added on under a SE number, and in 2006 there were some floats added on the inside which rest against these piles. They're not existing in this aerial photo. This portion of the outer harbor has, historically and pretty continuously been accreting a rate of over 4 feet a year, which is why the pier was extended in the 90s. This past winter, the area in green was maintained, repaired, replaced under a Form M after some pretty substantial damage during the storms last fall. The remainder of the structure will hopefully be proceeding this winter with additional repairs, maintenance, replacement. but we're here this evening to talk about some modifications around the structure that we're hoping to accomplish at the same time. Mostly, again, as a result of this accretion. We're looking to relocate some of the floats on the north side of the pier within the state Chapter 91 approved reconfiguration zone. As I indicated, there is a series of floats that L up against these red piles here, that the intersections are basically would be sitting on the beach today. And so we're looking to take some of that area and turn it and relocate one of those floats out into this outer section. Just trying to get these floats into usable water depths. On the south side of the pier, again, you can see some of these original pile lines are well up in the beach now. So just trying to relocate one of those so they're actually in the water again. We had a meeting with the staff earlier this fall to talk about the plans for this winter and about these goals. It was recommended that before we were to file an RDA to get together with Harbor Master and Waterways and Shellfish and Natural Resources, which we did prior to filing and went to both of those meetings. And I think that it was well received at both of those. And I think you've received some comments since that they don't anticipate any issues with this. So in summary, we're not adding any float square footage. We're not adding any piles. We're just sliding them a little bit further out the line so that they are in the water. And we are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, John. Question from the commissioner.
No, just a quick FYI. I know Pete signed in, Tom and John. Thank you. He was present for the presentation at 6:33.
Okay, thank you. Louise?
Just a quick question. Looking at the existing three-pile dolphin, which is south of the green dock area, that location has nothing to do with the area of reconfiguration. Is that right?
These lines and piles are on the prior plans and licenses, but the reconfiguration zone, which would be the area that we wouldn't need to really talk to anyone about, this pile is not located within that. And so that is
right. No, I'm talking about the one that is the southernmost. Existing three-pile dolphin to be relocated.
This year.
Yeah. So that's not covered at all by the area of reconfiguration, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Any other question from the commissioner? Seeing none. John, before I go to the public comment, I just want to mention that we also received an email from Elizabeth, the town shellfish biologist, mentioning that, before you do this project, you should coordinate it with her so that she can remove and relocate any shellfish in the area. So, Stone, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None? Could I have a motion to approve this project as a negative determination?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney. Aye, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you
luck.
very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Yep. We have one NOI tonight. Randall Green installation of a seasonal dock and constructions of a 4-foot wide footpath with associated timber retaining wall and timber landscaping steps at 101 Center Lane, Centerville, as shown on the Assessors Map 251, Parcel 220. Corey, are you doing the presentation?
Yep. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. Was on the phone with the client trying to help navigate into the meeting. He should be here shortly, hopefully.
Okay.
Happy holidays to everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Corey Bracken. I'm the environmental consultant representing Randy Green. I'm joined with Jason Heyer from Bracken Engineering. He's the project designer for this project. Is it easiest? Can I share my screen, Darcy, or? Let's see.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So pretty straightforward seasonal dock. We have an access coming off the south side of the house that we're hoping to maintain a 4-foot wide access path down and to the west to an area adjacent to Aquaquit Lake. As far as construction that's proposed, timber retaining wall during kind of the middle section of the project, as well as some timber landscape steps. The area surrounding the timber landscape steps are proposed to keep that path 6 feet wide, and then it shortens up to 4 feet around the dry well area. The dock itself, we know we do have to get Chapter 91 licensure post receiving our order of conditions. Unfortunately, we're still waiting on our project number as well as input from Natural Heritage, so we won't be able to close the meeting tonight, but we appreciate you guys letting us present it this way. As far as a substrate goes for the path, we were going to propose wood chips or an approved equivalent. The dock is designed using flat feet pads, and it is seasonal. It'll break apart and to be stored up by the main house during the off season. Randy is aware of the dates that he is allowed and not allowed to have it placed on the pond. And at the end, where when everything's done, we'll be maintaining approximately 550 square feet within the buffer zone. It'll be approximately 690 just during construction. We are going to have erosion control on either side of the proposed path during construction. We're just going to have to clear 8 feet wide just in order to have room to install the timber retaining wall. But then we just only want to maintain that 4 feet. And the actual size of the dock itself, it's going to be a total of 5 sections that are 4 by 10 with the 80 square foot farthest end and 120 square feet for length. And Bracken Engineering did soundings in the lake to make sure that we had the proper depth required not to disturb substrate. The other existing docks are, I'd say, about equivalent in terms of length, and we believe that this project meets the local guidance as well as the Chapter 91 guidance. And I am prepared to take any questions anyone may have, or any questions for Jason as well. Or if Jason would like to say anything, I'm sorry.
I think you covered it.
Okay.
Are you all set, Jason?
Yep, all set.
Okay. Questions from the commissioner, Luis?
You mentioned wood chips, I think, on the as a substrate for the path. Is that correct?
Correct, or something that we could, the client isn't particularly picky about it, just something to help maintain.
My experience has been with my path that all you need is to walk on it. And even if it's abandoned and nobody walks on it, it's still there for a good long time. So I would suggest you try that. Wood chips can get scattered about and disturb the adjacent area. So I think just wear and tear on by footsteps will probably do the trick for you.
Okay, that's something I think I can discuss with the client. I know we'll have a little time in between this meeting and the next one, and I'll have that conversation with him, and we can likely just let the 4-foot area be naturalized.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Bill?
I did not visit the site, but you have a trail that's on a slope for quite a ways, and I don't know if any of the other commissioners have been there. It concerned me. I mean, not overly, but I'm thinking that they're having a very substantial, fairly long trail that's going along that slope. I hope that's okay. As for the the dock, I mean, it's just basically a standard seasonal dock, and it meets our specifications, so I have no problems with that. In the NOI, there is one thing that I did not quite understand it. It says that within the resource protection overlay district, there's a minimum lot area requirement of 87,000 square feet. And now you've gone through some kind of reconfiguration of the properties, and you end up with, like roughly 26,000 for a couple of lots. And it says the plan is submitted qualifies as an approval not required plan, and it should be endorsed by the board. And I'm wondering, are we, the commission, supposed to be in some way approving this reconfiguration of the lots? It didn't make sense to me, and I was wondering, well, why would the zoning board take a requirement for 87,000 square foot property and break it up into smaller lots? I was confused about that.
So this configuration was already accepted. The reason that I provided that plan was to help alleviate any sort of confusion about the original configuration, because prior to this submission, I believe it's 99 Center Lane and this property were a conjoined single lot. And when I was putting all the materials together, all the online resources show them as such. So there was no there's no online record or plan to be able to show that that's at least been updated to this time to show you that this property does have access down to the water. So that was just to show you basically the latest accepted site plan by the town. As far as the 87,000 foot question, I might turn that over to Jason for a little more clarification. If you don't mind rephrasing the question again, I'd be happy to try to answer it better.
Well, they just simply are referring to, the lots, lot 1 and lot 2. One's 27,000 square feet. The other's 26,000 square feet and change. And yet it says that the resource protection overlay over district has a minimum lot size of 87,000. It's more of a zoning issue, but I have to admit, you put all that in and I got confused going, whoa. And it's very much reconfigured. And now you've got the property where it used to kind of sweep in from used to go north into the pond. Now it's coming around behind that other property, and it ends up. So it's like, I don't know.
Definitely. Okay.
I don't feel. I was just thinking. It said we should endorse. It says the plan is submitted qualifies as an approval not required plan, and it should be endorsed by the board. And I'm like going, what is that all about? So I'm just like going, what the heck is this?
The board they're referring to.
So a couple years ago, Jason hired Bracken Engineering. I think it was last year. We had submitted the approval not required site plan to the planning board, and I believe that since then that was endorsed by the planning board for that lot split. But if any more information is required on that. I'd have to just go back in our records.
So
and
you're referring to the
double-check any of that.
board. The board meaning the zoning board,
Yep.
not us.
Yeah,
And it's in an
planning board.
NOI. It's in an NOI, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, what is it?
No,
Okay, now I think I understand it. And hopefully, if others have been there and the slope looks fine, and putting that long trail in is cool. I could support that, but
Okay.
anyway.
Yeah, I apologize for the confusion. I included that just to show you that it had been recorded with the town clerk, and that was their findings. That was just in hindsight, I should have probably just included the plan, but I think I apologize. I included a little too much information, I think, on that one.
No
Because
problem.
now I see the area you're talking about now. Yeah, I didn't write that or any of that. I just included it as additional supplemental material.
I just read it as a zoning question that is not in our book.
Right. But it sounded like we were involved, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
This is
No, not at all. I wanted to show you guys that this is the accepted property boundaries for this property at this time, and because if you lift it up on if you do go on Barnstable GIS or anywhere, it still shows them as two separate lots, and then it gets even more confusing. So,
Right. Okay. Pete?
Second. Okay, there we go. So a couple things. I would definitely concur with Bill's concern about erosion on this. So I would like to make sure that the construction of this long slope trail has probably shunts off of it to take the water away from the path itself and dump it, so that you don't concentrate a whole slice of water or sluice of water going that trail. So Bill, that was an excellent observation. Secondly, and again, I know this is the case for our saltwater piers, and well, my mind just doesn't have it at my fingertips, is length of dock compared to width of shoreline. Again, my fellow commissioners, do we have that for freshwater, and do we need a variance on that? Thank you.
If I can answer that, there is a checklist that we ask for from the applicants. I think Corey submitted after that, and I think we have a copy of that. And I think we are not asking for any variance from that setback.
if my memory serves, I do believe that it does. It is coastal. I didn't see anything about freshwater.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can speak on the path a little bit and any drainage considerations to answer your question. So we do have that 4-foot wide path, that timber retaining wall detail in the bottom left hand and right under the scale bar kind of shows that. So it will be kind of cut into the slope slightly. Like Corey said, we will have erosion control that will be staked on the lakeside of the slope. So down the grade to catch any type of, materials heading in that direction during construction, if that does occur. We do have PVC weep holes, PVC weeping pipe perforated in stone just beneath grade. And any water that leaches out and gets trapped behind that wall can, leach out and come out those pipes. And that wouldn't be like an insane amount of water. We do have it pitched back into the slope. And then at the end of the path, right before it takes that turn, Corey, if you could scroll up just a hair to the plan view, we have proposed a 30-gallon dry well with a grate to grade, to catch any additional runoff down that path, before it takes that turn and heads down the landscape steps, because the last thing we want is to have any scouring around those landscape steps.
Thank you. Any other question from the commissioner? Seeing none, Channel 18, any public comment on this?
Seeing none.
None. Corey, we need a continuance, right? Because we're still waiting for the SE3 number and the NHSP letter. How
Correct.
much time do you need?
I'm just waiting for them to send me the information, and at that point, I should be able to turn it right around and get it back to you guys. So I'm hoping when is the next meeting the 7th?
Yes, the next meeting is the July 7th.
Okay.
January 7th.
I'm sorry.
January.
Yeah, it's January 7th.
Okay, January 7th. If you don't mind, if you can put us on there, and hopefully I get the information by then. If it looks like I'm not going to, I can reach out to Darcy and Kim and let them know that I still haven't received it.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve this project can I have a motion to approve the continuance for this project to January the 7th?
So moved.
Aye.
Second.
Roll call.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney. Aye. That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yep. We have one continuance. Ted and Dorsey Tinkums raise and replace existing single-family dwelling at 797 Old Post Road, Conduit, as long as assessed map 073 parcel 008-002. And this is a continuance from November the 26th and December the 10th. December 10th. And the quorum is everyone. So 5 of us at this point. Dan.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Dan Ojala. I'm a land surveyor and civil engineer with Downcape Engineering in Yarmouthport, and here on behalf of the Titcombs with a very special property that they have over off Old Post Road and abutting the Three Bays area. This is between North Bay and Catuit Bay. I'll share my screen so we can look at the project. So you folks, we had a good meeting last time and we discussed a number of items on the site. What we had looked for was, if you may recall, I think John Aberdeen was okay with, we had a little bit of there's a little fire pit in the middle. It's, as you may recall, a very Cape Cod lawn. It's a super well vegetated site. It's very natural. I think the owners deserve some accommodation. The site is, I think 100 years old, and all the trees are remaining out front. It's just a little bit of fescue lawn and pine needles, very light impact, no fertilizers, and a ton of trees, a huge grove of trees in front of the big old house that's there. We're retaining all of those trees except for a few up near the building. You had asked for us to look at improving the strip against the top of the coastal bank. And so we've done two things. We've reduced the hardscape a significant amount. We pulled 4 feet out of the entire patio, slid it back. So we're down about 36% on the hardscape that's within the buffer. Down to 637, so that's about a 538 square foot reduction, very significant reduction in hardscape. The hardscape, as you know, has a multiplier, and that generates the requirement for a good amount of mitigation. I think in this case, we can all agree, or at least consider carefully, that the reason for the buffers are to protect the resource areas from fertilizers, from runoff, and to create a little bit better habitat along the edge. In this case, we've got a steep bank that's armored at the base, so it's while steep, it's stable. There are some bare spots. Wilkinson is taking that bank and redoing it with natives and removing invasives and helping. But if we had a lawn upgrade into this, I think we can all agree it would be a little bit more important to have a wider buffer. Here, as John Aberdeen said, there is a existing little concrete walkway I'll zoom in on, or a small seating pad that the family likes to sit on right here. So that was on the Wilkinson plan. It was somehow frozen on our plan, so we included it here. We're vegetating right up to the edge of that, and then we're introducing the markers along that. And then as it pulls over here, there's a slope, a gradient. You can see the water always runs perpendicular to the lot lines, to the contour lines. So although it's, I would say, a very limited amount of sheet flow, we've widened up that buffer over here, and the markers will be, some 20 feet or more from the bank, tapering down to a little bit thinner in this area here. But again, what are we protecting? We're protecting the waters, especially from nitrogen. We've got a well-vegetated, or what will be a very well-vegetated coastal bank. We've got a long 50-foot buffer of thin fescues with nice trees and no fertilizer. Would be very happy to live with a condition that no fertilizer ever be placed within the 50-foot buffer. Further, that no irrigation ever be placed within the 50-foot buffer, except I think we'll need some temporary irrigation to get some of these plants going, but that's normally conditioned. And so we feel that by the increasing of the buffer, when the real reason for one is a little bit lessened by the fact that we've got a supernatural area here without fertilizers, without pesticides. We're happy to live with those conditions and to maintain it. They're true stewards, good stewards of this land. We're providing a dense blueberry sod, low planting that we can see over. And again, it is a spectacular view. I was out there at a sunset locating and checking all the trees, and it's a really special property. And they don't want to have a big block on the view. But again, I think they've been very reasonable, leaving all these big trees over the years. They're good stewards. There's no fertilizer. There's no formal lawn anywhere near the river. And with the widened buffer and a significant reduction on the hardscape, we're hopeful that you folks can find your way to approving this plan. The mitigation required is 637. We're down to 637 within the 50 to 100. Again, 0 within the 0 to 50. To their credit, 637 is the number. Times 3 is 1911. Including the bank, we've got 6,379 square foot, so over 3 times the 3 times that are required. So it's a huge multiple. If you just look at what we're proposing on the uphill side, it's within a couple hundred square foot of what you'd need just with the mitigation plantings on the flat areas. So we feel it's a good, solid project now as amended. And Wilkinson is here if you have any questions. They've redone with the December 10th date their land management plan and protocols, and they'd be glad to go over that with you if you have any questions. But I would leave it at that. I think this is a good compromise. Again, it's a significant reduction in the 50, getting the amount of mitigation way down. Again, it's a 36% drop in the hardscape within the 50 to 100. And a big increase in the plantings and the commitment to never irrigate or do anything within the 50, which we feel is just about a buffer in itself. And we'd be glad to answer any questions if you do have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Louise?
How wide, excuse me, how wide is the buffer strip along the edge of the bank, the skinny part?
The skinny part is exactly the distance between the pad and there is about 3 feet, and of course it widens out as you head to the north. But
Right.
again, it's a very level lawn, and it's a stable edge. So we were hoping that 3 foot would be reasonable, so we don't have to move that concrete pad, and that's what it is.
Well, it's a flat lawn, but it's a steep slope going down that bank. And as I look at this, I appreciate that they're offering so much mitigation and that it's much more than what would be required based on their building project. But there's so much more to the north area of the property than along the major part of the bank that my reaction is that it would be a good trade-off to take some of that stuff from the wide northern part and make that buffer strip wider. Because as I said, although the lawn is flat, the bank is very steep.
Yeah, it's been that way for many, many years, and it's I think since the toe was stabilized, it hasn't gone anywhere. But we'll certainly talk about that, and I'd be happy to hear what the other commissioners thought. We were really hopeful that the vast abundance of over planting would compensate, because it is very precious to the owners to have the ability to go up near the cliff and look over. And to the extent that they're really questioning whether they would even do anything on this property unless we move forward with something similar to this.
My recollection is, and I was there, a couple of weeks ago. Isn't there some sort of a barrier, not a fence, but some sort of maybe it's a fence that keeps people from accidentally stepping over the edge, or am I thinking of a different property?
Well, the only thing I remember is just like a little kind of a funny little 6-inch kick rail that you kind of put your feet on if you were on the concrete pad. It's nothing that would stop anybody.
Well, I mean, I don't know about the concrete pad, but that extends along the top of the bank in a limited way. You've got a huge length on either side of it that you could deal with. So, I don't know how others feel about the concrete pad, but if you just left it there and widened the buffer strip on either side of it, that in itself would be an improvement. And you could steal from the area up on the northern end of the top of bank in order to do that.
Yeah, understood. Again, I'm trying to follow as best as I can. Again, they've been good stewards of this land for a long time, and it's very important for them to, have be close to that edge, and that's what they've asked me to present. So hopefully we can, maybe take a split vote on it and go forward. But be glad to hear what everybody has to say.
Through the chair, if I could just add a tiny bit of depth to the planting of that buffer strip, albeit recognized as thin.
Go ahead.
Ian Peach, for the record, from Wilkinson. We realize that 3 feet doesn't seem like a lot there, but there are just a couple things I wanted to highlight really quickly. Because we were working with that program, we've gone with something unique, which is a blueberry sod, a low bush blueberry sod. Now that is an instant impact. It's laid down as a sod. It comes with bryophytes, ferns, multi-species, and is really like an instant buffer and sponge. So I would argue you get just more out of less horizontal space with that blueberry sod, and I've seen it perform as such. Another thing in studying the property closely, although we reading it as level, it does have a slight sheet flow when you have those high precipitation events, those larger events of rainfall to the northeast, where we are as wide as 26 feet. So I do want to make note. Also, we're just about meeting the full mitigation requirement with the buffer strip in itself, as was noted. And then one last thing, which I am always interested in, having worked on trails and other areas in erosion, is it has such an overstory of contiguous canopy that this property actually benefits from the first interceptors being the canopy. So you're actually getting what you're getting benefit that you're looking for in a vegetated buffer strip from a mature canopy that's greater than you typically could with this unique canopied property. So acknowledging people's views on this and looking for a little bit more, but I do think we have unique context with the number of trees in the canopy, the willingness to really invest, and it is an investment in the multi-species thick sponge of blueberry sod. So I just wanted to throw those into the mix as we're picturing this in situ. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Before I go to Bill or Peak, I want to go to Darcy. What do you think about those low bush blueberry sod?
I'm not in favor. I don't think the buffer strip was the width that the commission was looking for, and I don't believe this is what we'd be looking for. We like the diversity. So I'm not in support of this.
Thank you, Darcy. Bill?
I'd like to thank Dan for a statement. He said the owners like to come and look over the cliff. And there's a lot in those words. I did not visit this site for the first meeting that we had. I was at a disadvantage, but I did go later. And I was really surprised that it's a virtual cliff. Look over the cliff. And I get that they like their view, but that's a really steep coastal bank. And they have, in effect, it's not like a grassy lawn that's mowed nicely. And yeah, there's a lot of moss or what have you, but it is flat as a pancake coming down and then right down off the cliff. And in the long term, and it may be 50 years and it may be whatever, I'm concerned about the long-term stability, if you will, of that coastal bank. And what we normally like to do is try to provide some vegetated buffer strip of some width. And right now there is virtually nothing there. It goes right up to it. And so I guess, to cut to the chase, I'm supportive of what Louise is saying, that it really should be, right now, if it's 3 feet wide, yeah, well, you leave the cement thing in and they can get it, that's fine. But I do think it should be wider. And I don't know if that's, like 6 feet is 6 feet, so much. And as she said, she used the word steel, which sounded kind of weird, but it's kind of like meaning rather than have so much mitigation on that north side, there's a big hunk of it that's being, mitigated over there. Just reduce the area of that and call it like 6 feet. And I can't speak to the blueberry sod idea. I mean, it's, it sounds good, but it just, I don't know. It doesn't seem right to me to have this lawn that just goes straight down, bang, and then it goes into a cliff. I think it should be a wider buffer. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I remember in our last conversation, I think we were talking about somewhere around 6 to 8. And when I measure out the width, it seems like to be about 3 or 4, but it's not really indicated. So I think in the future, if there is a revised plan, we should label those width of the strip so we know exactly what it is. But before let me go to Pete before I finish my stuff. Pete.
So thank you. So Ian, thank you very much for describing a little bit about that blueberry sod. Could you speak to the growth of a root mass and how quick that would be given this installation of this mat? Again, you talked a little bit about diversity of plant species in there as well. Could you speak to the root development? Because that's what's going to give some buffer and strength to that edge.
Yes, great question. So this comes in with 6 to 8 to 12 inch depth, depending, with a lattice of different rhizomes. Because it's sod that's usually being used from places that are being developed, and so it's saved carefully, brought down. We've successfully used lowbush blueberry and huckleberry, but because they're from established populations, not a planted lowbush blueberry sod, they come in with some interesting diversity. I think I could probably safely say somewhere between 4 to 6 different species, including ferns and mosses and lichens and other low woody shrubs. You might even get some huckleberry in a lowbush. You'd likely get lowbush in a huckleberry. So you get the diversity of root types, more fibrous, more woody, a little bit deeper, a little bit more horizontal. I'm not trying to oversell this, but it is something that definitely would provide a more immediate impact to that area. And over time, I do think it does have some sponge-like buffering qualities for a thinner area. So where you're looking to get something restored at a thinner swath, I think this is a creative solution to get a strong native plant community there.
Cool. So actually, that's sort of what I was figuring was the case. I like, in part, what you and Dan, Wilkinson and Ojala brought to the table here. You did listen to us. I have some agreement with a little bit wider, but I really think that the mat that you were speaking of, possibly interspersed and with some sporadic taller shrubs, so that you have some some modulation of that edge. I think so. With something like this sod, that I don't think you need 6 or 8 feet. I think 5 would be good. And that's, we're talking about a foot here, a foot there, but I think you're bringing something pretty good to the table here. That's sort of just my thoughts. Thank you.
Pete, what is your comment? You're saying that you need to bring in a different variety of the low growing.
So, if you're just all working with low bush blueberry, they'll stay pretty low. But if you, for habitat, again, the nice thing about the sod is you're bringing in diversity of all kinds of things, including probably a pretty healthy soil microbiota. So that would be very good. If that is interspersed, outside that edge or right at the, outside the sod, on the house side of the sod, just a couple of things that maybe grow to 5 feet tall. And again, I don't want to interrupt views, but something that grows 5 feet tall, I think would have a much stronger root system than something that's 3 feet tall. So those are some of my thoughts. Again, I'm not a botanist like Wilkinson's people are, but that's just thoughts that I have as an ecologist. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Angela?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm in agreement with Bill and Louise as far as having a wider buffer strip at the top. That's what I thought we left the last meeting requesting, and it sounds like they are not into widening at this point. But I do think it needs to be maybe not 6 or 8 feet, but more than 3. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. So my other comment is, number one is the seating area that you had on the drawing. Then you should label that and on both the engineering plan and the planting plan. I know you're showing it as a planting plan, you labeled it, but in your engineering plan, you did not say anything about that concrete block that you're talking about. The other things, though, is I just want to mention that the coppicing of the trees is a special request because we don't have that as a general practice as far as coppicing goes. Even the last few times when Wilkinson coming in and do this, we recording as a pilot study, see how it goes, and we don't know exactly how it grows. I know in the applications in the Wilkinson's land management plan showing some photos of the progress of how things are moving under the coppicing plan. So, but I think that's something that, if we approve that practice, I think that need to go and meet with the staff on site to see which plant that need to be, which trees that need to be coppicing on that practice. I think that's my comment so far.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
In terms of the coppicing, I guess I missed that. Which trees are you thinking you're going to coppice?
They're really not even trees. They're ones that are right above the revetment. You'll see them on the plan with a little cloud, and they're called out because
Could we see the plan again?
Sure, I can
planting plan.
I could share the plan if you allow me to here. So if you could let me know if you're seeing this.
Yeah,
I'm seeing it.
Okay, so it's right here. So there's
Oh,
just
okay.
a group of small trees that are growing in and would be kind of levers to destabilize. And there's a group of 5 small trees right here in this area.
Okay.
Just those 2 areas. We are proposing, more trees and retaining all existing trees on the bank that we can. It's just ones that are growing very tight or would destabilize.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking it had to do with up near
No.
the building.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So in the spirit of compromise, I just throw out there because it sounds like there's a lot of interest in widening that buffer to perhaps 5 feet. If we could leave the concrete pad, label it where it is, and go from 3 to 5 on either side, and then I would propose even just leaving, not borrowing or stealing from the wider area. If we do that with blueberry sod, there's a huge canopy here. It's an extremely native site. It's like a national park walking through there. There's no, like you say, mosses. There's a lot of very natural vegetation. Would that be something the majority could get behind, and we could just submit a revised plan showing the 5 feet all along there, except for the concrete pad?
I'd be cool with that.
I would like to say I could be good with that. However, regarding the trees, there are a lot of trees there.
Yeah.
Those trees are going to die. There could be a change in ownership. It's not like, it's always going to be like that. So granted, yes, there may be some buffering of rain from that canopy, but as we try to look to the long-term stability of the property and the coastal bank, I don't think we can count on those trees being there forever and a day. So yeah, they help. But to go back to your point, Dan, yeah, I think I can buy the 5. I kind of like Pete's idea of having a couple of, a few extra trees in there, but, and I don't know that a couple of, anyway, I like.
It wasn't trees, it was just taller bushes. It would have a deeper root system than low bush blueberry.
I would just point out that that slope. Ted is on the line. He's been there a long time. The top of the slope has been super stable for 20 plus years. We've got generally when these fail, it's from the bottom. The waves eat the bottom, and down she goes, and that's what happened in the past. But now that the toe is stable, Wilkinson will look carefully. We'll put some. There's a lot of mid-height stuff on the slope. And then you've got a nice, healthy canopy over this whole area. I really think that what we have with a widened to 5 feet would be, better than many, many, many along the river, and hope and the Narrows, I just don't. Again, it's a very special spiritual type place for the owners to be able to look out. They've got the canopy, you've got the stuff on the slope. To put stuff on the top, I don't think it needs it, and I really love it if we could just do the 5 foot sod, which will grow a couple feet high. But
I'm with you.
Higher.
And so am I, Dan. I mean, you've negotiated in good faith. You've heard us, and I don't need those taller things. It's just something that I said as a potential. But if you go into 5 foot sod, I'm supportive. Thank you.
Appreciate that thought.
Okay, so in the 5 foot sod, there are going to be blueberries. Is that what you're talking about? Is that the plants for over 5.5 feet that we're discussing?
Yeah, it sounded like blueberry, huckleberry, and a few other.
And we're ferns. You said ferns.
Ferns, yeah, a mixture of.
And is there going to be a demarcation there?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. We'll let him choose, but I've got him drawn in as rocks right now. Whether he goes with the granite or rock, we'll decide. We'll work with Darcy on that.
Okay, sounds good.
So then when Ian going to revise the plan showing those clarify those terms in terms of the low bush blueberry sod, adding the fern and the other species in there, not just leaving it that, because otherwise that creating a confusions. So Louise is okay with this arrangement?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
How about Angela?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go to channel 18. Any public comment on this one?
Seeing none.
None. So then I'm gonna float a couple of things in here for you as part as conditions. Number one, obviously, is going to be subject to receipt of a revised plan showing the 5-foot wide strip on the on top of the bank there, and clarify the label, clarify the salt, the low bush blueberry, plus the other plant that you want to add it in there as a salt, not just one type, and then make the label of the width as 5 foot. And then Wilkinson will be the professional under the contract. If there's a change in terms of the professional on this, we need a written notifications to the conservation staff, and we need a annual report of 3 years. Do you need any ongoing conditions for invasive removal?
Yes, there's an invasive plant population where that would be smart.
Okay. So those are the conditions that I can think of at this point.
If
So
you'd like
moved.
to put in there, Tom, that the entire 50-foot buffer remain Cape Cod lawn with absolutely no fertilizer or insecticides, we're happy to live with that.
No, that's a standard condition already.
Standard condition.
The boilerplate. Yeah.
Yep, and those trees can remain too. Again, they would have to get permission to cut them. They're noted on the plan. I think you've got some protection there, and you know, the owner likes them, so chances are if a hurricane gets a few, we'll put them back.
Okay. Okay.
So moved.
Could I have a motion to approve this project?
So moved.
The second.
Roll call.
Tangney, aye. Sampu,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
and Foster.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your careful consideration. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you for working with us, Dan.
Yep. We have one easy certificate of compliance. Christopher C. Bushing, SE3-6085. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney, aye. Sampu,
Aye.
unanimous.
Thank you. We have 2 sets of minutes, November the 26th and December the 3rd.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tangney, aye. Sampu,
Aye.
it's unanimous.
Thank you. Like I mentioned before, this is our last hearing for 2024. After this one, we have a 3 weeks break. Have a happy Christmas and New Year. And we'll be back on the 3 p.m. on January the 7th. In the meantime, Angela, have a nice vacations and see you when you come back. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Roll call.
Foster,
Aye.
Hearn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney, aye. 7:28.